Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Two Raccoons and a Trench Coat podcast. I'm one of your hosts for today's episode, Some Guy with a Hat, joined as always by my other host for the episode.
Your other host, some guy with a microphone. Thank you for joining us on the Two Raccoons in a Trench Coat podcast. What's our great topic today, other host?
Today, we have something a little different for you guys. We are going over what makes a horror movie.
That's right. Everything from the filmmaking expert here, Hat, and the non-expert microphone. We're going to go step by step, the tedious process so that you, at home, if you follow these steps, can make your very own horror movie.
You know, that's actually not impossible. I have a talking point that, yeah, I guess we'll get into it. How do you want to start off with your list? Do we want to go back and forth, ping pong in a bit? We haven't
Let's
thought
ping
this
pong.
through as always.
Yeah, no. So, again, we're two raccoons in a trench coat, but we don't have any brain cells in a trench coat.
Yeah, the Goldfish Sister podcast got all the brain cells, unfortunately.
It really did. Those bastards.
Um,
But, you want to go ahead and go with your talking point first, since you let us in. What's your first talking point?
so my first talking point here, like most movies, you have to have a good antagonist. For horror, I think that's especially important. Uh, and there are multiple different avenues you could go. Like for the stereotypical slashers, your antagonist is usually like a slow stalker, um, and pretty unrelenting too. So no matter what you do, like it'll always catch up to you. So we're thinking like Jason or Michael Myers or the Thing from It Follows, which I'm pretty sure was filmed in Michigan. So that was pretty neat.
I think it was.
Yeah, there was a oh, what class was it? It must have been producing. Yeah, it was a producing class. We had one of the producers come to the class and talk to us about how they made the film. So that was actually really neat for It Follows. But yeah, and it really helps if the protagonist, not the protagonist, we'll talk about the quote unquote protagonist later on. That's one of my negatives about stereotypical horror movies. But the antagonists are usually pretty iconic in their design. Like, masks are pretty common with slashers. Um, you've got, I think the Michael Myers mask was literally a mask of William Shatner. Like, from Star Trek. And then, of course, you have the hockey mask for Jason. And those things just elevate, not necessarily the horror in and of themselves for those two examples, but definitely their recognizability. And that obviously lends to their marketability and creating franchises. So that's important if you want to like franchise it and make more than just one. But yeah. What about you? What's your first ping pong?
My first one is I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback a little bit off of your talking
for sure.
point. So when you're making a good horror film, I think it's important to remember that there are some good characteristics you want to stick to, but you have to somehow differentiate yourself from every other horror movie. And I think what any good horror movie does is they walk the same path as other horror films, but they leave their own footprint, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like you said, you've got your Nightmare on Elm Street, you've got your Halloween, you've got your your serial killers, your Night Stalkers. They're essentially walking the same path of this is a nearly insurmountable villain, and there's a tangible fear. There's a real threat, a real enemy, but they're all iconically different and for different reasons. Whether it be the fact that You've got Jason, who's just stabbing people, and you've got Freddy Krueger, who can jump from dream to dream, which is, again, very cool, very unique. It leaves its own footprint. I think a big problem with a lot of indie horror or the smaller horror movies is that you've got this notion of what is scary, and they look at all the greats and they go, well, let's just kind of copy that. And by copying, they're not really doing enough to differentiate themselves.
No.
That, and I think a lot of people really go too hard in indie horror films, where it's just, yes, and I'll talk more on this part later, but we're going to use jump scares and we're going to use gratuitous gore and violence because that's what terrifies people. Listen, I like the Punisher comics, and I like the oh no, my brain short-circuited.
Yeah, it doesn't
Doom.
feel great
I like
when
the
it's
Doom
during
games.
recording it, does it?
No. And I like the Doom games. I'm used to gratuitous gore and violence. None of that is scary to me. Don't get me wrong. I understand there's a whole group of people, some of them that watch this podcast, listen to this podcast, that cannot do horror and blood.
No. No, they cannot.
But I feel like a lot of the indies lead too heavily on it. And you get horror movies like the Saw franchise, that their footprint is, it's torture, but it's winnable torture.
Depending on who makes the traps.
That's true, as long as it's Jigsaw and not,
Amanda.
Jigsaw's protege.
Yeah. Like
Which in
like the gore aspect, like I never find gore like horrifying. I'm always impressed to see how far they can push it, how realistic like the art of filmmaking in that aspect can go. So that's not something where, I mean, you have horror movies like Alien. There's not a ton of gore in Alien. There's like 1-2 scenes of it.
Right.
But, hear more about our thoughts on the Alien franchise in last week's episode of the Two Raccoons and podcast over on Spotify and YouTube.
To add to your point, with the way that they can present the gore, I think the gore has to be impactful.
Yeah.
Like, The Walking Dead is full of gore. However, there are certain scenes where the gore, while gore is a common theme, like, I want to say it's the final season. Spoilers for the final season of The Walking Dead starting at this timestamp right here, and I'll let you know when spoilers are over.
Spoilers are over between 8 minutes and 9 minutes for season 9 of The Walking Dead, not season 11.
There's the carnival, and it's Enid who gets decapitated along with some other members of the colony, and their heads are on pikes. That I felt was a really good use of the gore when it has that wide panning shot of all those decapitated people that you know and kind of care about.
Yeah, I was really upset with Enid's death. That sucked. That's also the end of season 9, not 11. So I guess spoilers.
Again, I have not seen super far. Spoilers end right here at this timestamp.
Which, how would they know that spoilers are over? Like, you say we'll let you know when they're over, but if they stop listening because they're afraid of spoilers, they never know when to come back in. So that's always been my thing.
You know what? We'll make you do a voiceover. Spoilers are over at this timestamp.
Oh, beforehand? Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let me look at my recording. Back to the episode.
Perfect read. So when it comes to, I think gore has to be used impactfully. It's the thing. It's the same thing when, and in certain points, you're rooting for the bad guy.
Of course.
Because obviously you are. And I think that gore has to be impactful either as it hurts you because it's something you care about, or it excites you because, oh good, that person got their comeuppance and I hated that character, so their gore is more of a euphoric feeling. You know what I mean? That makes me sound like a serial killer.
No, it doesn't, because, well, maybe, but I also have that point later on with how I mentioned, like, the antagonists are usually what you're looking for in the film, and then the protagonists are people that you kind of, characters that I don't like in the horror films. That's a point that I have later on. So, you're good.
But yeah, I think a lot of the indie films focus on the gore aspect of like, gore is shocking. And don't get me wrong, in the 1920s, that would have shocked everyone.
I think if you showed a horror movie to someone in the 1920s, like a modern day horror movie, they'd still blame you for being a witch and you get burned at the stake. And they had stopped doing those for like 200 years at that point. So,
when was the last witch trial? Speaking of spooky season stuff, when was the last witch trial held?
I don't know. There are always like conflicting things like, actually, nobody was actually burned at the stake for accusing of being witches. Well, then where did the stories come from?
1878. The last recognized witch trial was in Salem, Massachusetts in 1878, where Lucretia L.S. Brown accused Daniel H. Spofford of harming her through mesmeric powers in a Christian Science dispute.
Okay,
This
so
comes
that's only
from
50
my source on
years.
this is Wikipedia.
Okay. So yeah,
Which-
1920s, 1870s, it's only a 50-year
Mhm.
swing. They'd
Yeah.
definitely bring that bad boy
Yeah,
back.
I'd still, we would still be burned at the stake or at least impaled.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my points, like, I think with, like you said, a lot of the indie stuff taking from, what's great about these horror films, and then they make a conglomeration, your story has to be unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if the story's predictable, the audience is less invested. And then the less invested they are in the story, the less they care about the film in general. And therefore, they're less impacted when the scary events do show up and it's like, oh, okay. Because, like, if I'm watching something and I can be like, oh, I see where this is going, and it goes where I think it's going, I'm like, okay, well, then what's the point of me sitting here and watching this then?
Mm-hmm.
It really, like I said, lessens the impact of what should be pretty impactful scenes. Take a drink every time I say impactful in this podcast.
You'll be dead by minute 19.
But yeah, like, when I think of, again, like, slashers, they are pretty predictable, and I don't think people see slashers to be scared. I'm sure the first few were, like, scary in their own right, but
Right.
once you
There's
know
a madman killing people. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and once you know the formula, like, it's less scary and more of, we're going to see these films because we like the antagonist. We like to see how they're gonna do each of their kills, because horror films many times, I think Saw is a big proprietor of this. They need to one up themselves in each and every subsequent installment.
Right.
So that's a big selling point for the longevity of those franchises. To where it turns less of, hey, we're going to scare you, to, hey, we're going to entertain you with disturbing content.
Mm-hmm. I think another important thing for horror movies is defining what audience you're also going for.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be, again, you've got people like myself. I hate jump scare horrors. If that's all you have for me, I don't want to watch your film.
Yep. Yeah, like, you can...
I will give a caveat. I'll give a caveat here. Five Nights at Freddy's, they didn't really do a lot of jump scares. I'm not sure. Would you call Five Nights at... Have you seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie?
No, I haven't played the games, so I didn't see them.
I hadn't played them either because I hate horror games. Like, I just hate them. And not because they're badly designed or I think they're bad games. I am scared with the whites in a box that go blah. So I don't play them. But my fiance loves the games. Has played all the games. So I went and saw the movie. Matt Pat of YouTube fame is in the movie for like 10 seconds. Good for him. That was probably one of my favorite scenes. But it doesn't really do a lot of... It does a couple little jump scares, because, again, you're expecting it with that kind of medium, and with that sort of, like, IP. But it did a really good job of being a movie that it's like, oh, we're known for jump scares, and giving you atmospheric horror, which is my personal favorite. I want your film to make me feel creeped out or gross or my favorite horror of any genre is gonna I don't need the allegations here, but H.P. Lovecraft is some of my favorite horror writing. Because many of his books, not all of his books, not all of his books are bangers. Don't come at me and be like, everything he wrote was a masterpiece. No, it wasn't. But a lot of his work gives you that as you're reading through it or listening to it on Audible. Audible, if you want to sponsor us, now's the time. It gives you, it's a slow build to horror because when you pick up a novel by this author, just the same as you're watching a movie of any certain genre, of any particular lineage, you know what to expect, but not how to expect it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Like it needs to build tension in that way, and I think that's one of the reasons I love Alien so much, because it fits into what you're talking about. But yeah, anything more to say about Lovecraft? Because Lovecraft can be horror, but from what I know, it's more of like an exploration of like cosmic horror and like I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it because
A lot of H.P. Lovecraft's work do go with cosmic horror and non-tangential horror. It's not what is here or there, but the spaces in between that we can't see or recognize,
like what
or the
could
insignificance. Be. Right, like Cthulhu, the Cthulhu mythos is a being not beyond our comprehension, but we are to it as ants are to us, and therefore that's terrifying. That there's this thing that can know us and see us, but doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why the ocean is terrifying.
Oh my
to me.
God!
I don't like I was in the Navy and I'm terrified of the ocean. I am deathly afraid of I won't go to the beach anymore. You want to know why? Because here's the thing: the scariest thing, and there's a lot of good horror. I guess they're more suspense movies than horror, but like, is it not Deep Blue? Is it Deep Blue?
It might.
The one where the couple are on that fishing sightseeing tour and they get left out in the ocean.
I know I'm pretty sure there is a horror adjacent film called Deep Blue.
I don't know if it's that one.
Yeah,
this came out a lot. I was in like grade school when this movie came out, so it's been a minute. And I watched that when I was too young. I think is what part of gave me my horror. It ends a really stupid way, which made me not as afraid of it because it wasn't realistic. Spoilers for whatever movie I'm talking about. And this is another talking point I've got is the stupidity of. Don't get me wrong. I'll elaborate. I'm getting ahead of myself as I do. I have a lot of pizza in my system right now. I'm pretty wired. At the end of that movie, and someone in the comments, you know what? Comment down below if you know the name of this movie and if we got it right. There's a husband and wife, and they have like their scuba gear, and the boat left in the middle of the ocean. And they're like, "Oh, which way do we go? How do we get back?" The end of the movie. I believe he gets attacked by sharks, which is fine. That's a true horror thing I'm afraid of is sharks, so I'm cool with that.
Are you thinking of Deep Blue Sea?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's got Thomas Jane, Samuel L. Jackson. Oh no, this was the film that I thought you were talking about at first. I don't think it is.
Gotcha. Okay. But the end of the penultimate scene of the movie is the wife is distressed and she feels like she can't get back to shore, so she just takes off her flotation vest and her air tank and she lets herself drown. As a human being, I don't care how distraught you are, I don't think your fight or flight will let you just do that when you're healthy and conscious and capable.
No, that's like you hear stories about like survivors of plane crashes and like how they had to resort to cannibalism. Like there's a point in which like your body takes over. Like even if you can not want to do it as much as you like, your will can be as strong as it is. Your body tells you otherwise at a certain point. Yeah. So like that is unrealistic that she'd just be like, oh well. And like, isn't that the end of Gravity too? Like, I haven't seen that, but I think she's floating in space for like the entire movie. So I don't know.
Yeah. And then the final scene of that movie is some like fishermen catch a shark or whatever, and they slice it open. And they're just like, they're degutting a fish essentially, um, and they pull out the couple's camera they had with them
Hmm.
and set it, because sharks will eat anything, that's accurate. I'm okay with that too. But also the camera wasn't like chewed up or anything; it was just swallowed whole. And sharks, you take a bite, it doesn't matter. Um, but I hate that you can have a dumb like cast, like all the teens in the slasher films that I tripped over a root because I ran in high heels through the woods, and they get stabbed. That's fine because you're rooting for them to get stabbed anyway. That I'm okay. There's another horror movie that I really I don't know the name of it. And I think I saw it on Comedy Central.
Is it
This one I was
Scary Movie?
No, it might have been maybe it was a Sci-Fi Channel. It was a long time ago. Again, this is gonna be the episode. If you can name the film and post it down below, I don't know. I'll send you a I'll send you a cameo. If you can name these movies and help me find them, I will send. Just email me. Email tworaccoonspodcast at gmail.com. And be like, the shark movie was this one. And the movie is like, there's like a saber-toothed tiger gets brought back to life, and it's hunting people. And there's a really funny scene where there's like a couple about to like, do what teenagers do.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks outside and gets mauled by a fucking saber-toothed cat. And then he goes out looking for her, and he has his hat hanging on his, dangly bits. And he sees the saber-toothed tiger, and the shot pans backwards. You're looking like you can't see anything of him besides like you're looking but like through his legs, like at the saber-toothed cat, and the hat falls. And I was like, that is such an iconic scene to me. I remember nothing else of this movie, but I remember thinking that was really hilarious. And then he gets mauled by a saber-toothed cat. Before I go, if you know that movie, put it in the comments, send us an email, and be like, hey, here's the movies. Check, and if I can verify that you're correct, I'll do a cameo. You can be like, say my name and happy birthday, and I'll send it. Do whatever. It's fine. I'll do it for you. Before I continue to ramble,
I'm gonna find this movie. I'm gonna send it in. I'm gonna make you do a cameo where it's like, "Hi, I'm some guy with a mic. Here's my credit card information, my social security card number." So yeah, there's that.
That works. I'm sure you have another talking point. I have another talking point to go on, but I'm gonna let you have the ball back because I've been on a tangent here.
Yeah, no, I think these two talking points are very similar because mine next one is like the quote unquote protagonists are all expendable. And it's something that I really don't like. Like, a lot of these characters are clearly just there to increase the potential body count. And like you have like a set group of character archetypes that are in every horror movie. You have the jerk who you're rooting for to get killed. You have the idiots who get themselves killed. You often have stoners who like obviously are gonna get killed. Like it's just again going off of that predictability thing. Like you can very clearly tell who's gonna be the quote unquote final girl. You can tell who's gonna get it in the first half hour of the film. Like I don't know. Like
oh yeah,
I don't know how to criticize it while also being like, here's how you fix it. Because again, you fix it, someone else is going to come along and copy it. Because that's just how the industry is. So, but yeah, I mean, it works. Obviously, it works. It's just something that I don't know. I never feel like I have to go watch a slasher because I feel like I've already seen them. Like the characters pretty much on except for a few rare occasions, the characters don't really mean anything. Like I think some of the Friday the 13th movies, like Tommy Jarvis as a kid. He actually kills Jason. And then I think he brings him back to life in one of the sequels. So, like, that's beyond the point. Like, you have a reoccurring character there. That's nice. That's the kind of character I do like. Like, there are stakes there. So you actually want this character to make it to the end because you have a history with this guy. But when you know that these characters are just going to die anyway, there's no point in getting invested in them. So,
yeah. I have a horror movie that I'm going to make you come over and we're going to watch together because it's not a good film, but it's got one of my absolute favorite scenes of cinema ever.
what is it?
It's called The Final. It came out in 2010. The quick premise is it's a group of like nerdy kids that get picked on in high school, and they decide to take vengeance on all their bullies. So they throw like a fake party, and they invite all the popular kids, and they basically Saw trap them. It's kind of like it's like okay, so you know how Saw is kind of like low rent a little bit, especially like the first 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's bootleg Saw.
Is it Kids Bop Saw? Oh my god.
Now that's what I call Saw 2010. But it's free on Prime Video, and I have Prime. So I'm gonna make you come over and watch this with me at some point. Here's how good it is. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 14%.
Oh hell yeah.
The audience score gave it a 33%. But it has one of my favorite lines in all of cinema, which is the final line of the movie that I think, as someone who is okay, again, we're gonna wander dangerously into serial killer territory. It is a movie that if you got picked on a lot in high school, I think, not that you like the movie more, but I understand it on a creativity level, because I too was tortured by the people that were in my peer group. Now, mind you, I never wanted to hurt any of them, but there were some people who I knew who also got hurt that I go, yeah, if they snapped and like caved someone's head in with a pipe, I'd be like, well, yeah, obviously.
That tracks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there was that guy in New York a couple years ago that I think he was a doctor. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on this. Tangent time, but it has to do with horror. He got picked on relentlessly in school by like this one dude. Anyway, he goes off and like makes a success story of himself. Has a really nice car. They go to like a 10-year high school reunion, and his bully's there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, hey, I'm sorry I was a dick to you in high school." But I was like, "You want to come see my really cool car?" And the bully goes, "Yeah, sure, man." They go to the car. The kid who was bullied, the doctor, pulls out a bat and beats his bully to death in the parking lot with it. 10 years after they've done and gone their separate ways. And I'm not saying it's right. I am saying I understand how someone can harbor those hateful feelings for so long. There are people that if I see them today from high school, it's on sight. I will throw hands. I'm not going to beat them with a pipe, but I'm going to throw hands. Or at the very least, I'm going to tip over their shopping cart just before they check out. What are they going to do? Arrest me? I'll pay for the damages. Sure, I'll get banned from that particular wherever store we're at, but imagine, if you will, if you did all of your like weekly shopping, you got your kids with you, you just want to get home, and some kid you picked on in high school just shows up and goes, "Sup, motherfucker," and then just tips your fucking card over.
Yeah, and then you look at them afterwards like, there are 14 other Walmarts in this state. Pick a different one. I will be there.
They're gonna be like, "Sir, you can't do that. You need to get out of the store." I'd be like, "That's fine." Because things that I didn't break anything. Again, as long as I pay the store for damages, that's fine. They don't really care. It's product, whatever. They're probably gonna be like, "Get out of the store," but like the cops aren't gonna get called. I'm not going to jail for assault. You know, I didn't touch you. You didn't own the things that were in your cart yet. You didn't pay for them. I paid for them. They're my things. I don't know. Again, dangerously close to serial killer activity here.
I mean, hey, sometimes you see a person who's like, I think it's time to let my dark passenger out.
Okay, I went off on a tangent. Do you have another talking point you want to hit? Because I have a good theory for a horror movie, but I want you to go for a talking point first.
Yeah. So, oh my god, can I please get a word in?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just like I cut you off last episode, the neighbor's dog is cutting me off this episode.
He's like, no, I want to hear some guy with Mike's takes on this. He has the expertise in this field. He's a horror movie guy. The truth is, I just dated a lot of girls who really liked horror movies. That's a huge red flag, by the way.
Yeah.
Massive red flag.
Yeah, and what was the other red flag? That she was 20 years older than you?
Yeah! Yeah, that should have been a red flag. I was 14.
You must have just been colorblind at the time. It's fine. Like, what are all these beige flags everyone's talking about?
Did you see the red flags? I thought it was a carnival.
Yeah, a lot of horror movies, it's actually, like, kind of funny. A lot of horror movies, you see the biggest return on investment on if they do well, because they have such low budgets.
Mm-hmm.
So they are, like Saw, for example, I think made 10 times its budget, at least, or whatever we said when we made the Saw video.
Mm-hmm.
You make it for really cheap. It doesn't necessarily have to be good. It has to get people in the seats, and that's the main thing that matters to investors. And then everyone goes and sees it, and it's amazing. And then the next film gets a higher budget, so you might be able to make it better than the first, or you double down on it and keep making it how you've been making. Again, I think the Friday the 13th films, the first, 7, look pretty similar to each and the other ones. So, I don't know, it's funny. But then you have something like Sinners. I'm not sure what the budget was on it, but it did amazing in theaters. So, a low budget doesn't always mean it's going to be great. I think for a lot of other genres, it's a death sentence. But for horror, it's almost like a challenge, because one of the main staples of a horror film is the gore. If it
if it constitutes it.
Yeah, something like that. If it constitutes it, fine. We'll go with constitutes it. That's whatever. This is staying in, I think. I don't care.
There's enough editing to do with all my screaming.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, if the film requires it, there's going to be gore. The creativity to work within those low budgets, to still make something that looks believable. I don't know. It looks really fun when you see behind the scenes stuff about how they made the films. Yeah, something that I enjoy. And I've made a couple horror films, short films, obviously zero budget. So, yeah, what's another point you have?
Okay, so I want to talk about a movie that in my opinion, should have been a horror movie, but just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Venom.
Okay. Wow.
I think Venom, speaking of Dark Passenger, I think Venom should have been a horror film. I think Venom should have, again, we can still go with Eddie, but I think we need to have Eddie's life be I think he needs to be in a better state to start the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he has a good career. He has someone he loves. He has good connection. He has to have something to lose. And this symbiote, Venom, as it were, gets a hold of him. But and again, we're already rewriting comic lore for the movies, so I think this is fine. But Venom has to, quote unquote, hide within Eddie until he's either powerful enough to overtake him. You know what I mean? That's the idea. So whenever, maybe it's like a Naruto Gaara thing where if he falls asleep, Venom can, overtake him temporarily, and Eddie wakes up having done horrible things. Like, I think a really great scene would have been him and, what was the girl's name he loves? Was it Vanessa?
I don't know. I only saw it
Ashley?
once. I don't really.
Okay, you don't need to go see the Venom movies. You don't need to. If you like the comics, just read the comics again. But I think it would have been a lot more hitting or biting, if like the movie starts out where Eddie and his fiance are planning their wedding. They go see her parents for a holiday. He goes and he's like, he likes his job. He's good at it. He's well liked. He's got a good future. And then cut to 15 minutes into the movie, he's in handcuffs because it looks like from the crime scene that he tore his wife limb from limb while she slept.
Yeah, it does a Moon Knight.
And we're sitting here.
It jumps over
essentially
fun parts and it's just like, oh, okay, I guess we're skipping that then.
Yeah. I mean, the audience would see it. But I think, or even you can start out smaller. You can start out with things like it changes his personality in certain ways. So, like, at work, he becomes, like, either he's a worse boss or he's just, like, a worse subordinate to his boss. He shirks work. Maybe he picks up bad habits. He starts drinking more, eating, bad food, smoking, what have you. And it slowly changes him. You can see Eddie realizing these horrible things are happening, but can't understand why they're happening. And as the viewer, as the audience, we're slowly watching someone lose their perfect life to this degradation sickness that culminates in, boom, it kills his fiance, or he kills his fiance's parents in front of her, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, maybe the anger in him is what Venom is feeding off of. So, like, maybe he does hate a coworker. So that lets Venom get more powerful and, be that dark passenger of, like, we could simply cut their brake line. And, it's just, I think the slow descent into Eddie losing a good life and then either ending up as he has to be a vigilante because that's all he can do, I think would have been a great spin on things for Venom itself. Being like, I lost everything because of what's happening to me, and I want to control it and make it better. In which you get sort of like almost like a Deadpool.
Yeah.
But more gory.
Which that's kind of a side tangent. Talking about Venom for a second, like, I think the movie really would have benefited from an R rating. And
oh God, yes.
Like, I know, like, I didn't hate the movie. I think the biggest thing that I didn't like about it is that I think Venom swapped hosts a bit too much, and the main villain was also a Venom symbiote thing. But and I know how I just said, like, gore isn't always necessary. I'm never like, oh, like, this needs to be in it. But it's painfully obvious when you watch it that the filmmakers had a more visceral image in mind when making it.
Yeah, and then Sony clipped their wings on it.
Yeah, it very much seems like, hey, there's something missing here. Like, were shots cut? Like, was something toned down? Like, it was not a great end product in that regard. But
yeah, I think Moon Knight also almost does it right too, in the Moon Knight show. With Mark having, the multiple personalities, not remembering Khonshu's influence, things like that. But I think Venom would have been a masterclass in horror movie to horror vigilante.
Yep.
And it's like, I eat criminals because I have to eat somebody. I don't have a choice.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's ever been, like, a horror movie icon that's went from, like, killer to, like, anti-hero. Like, it sounds like a familiar concept. Like, it's obviously not done often at all. But
that's the thing. We're not, to our audience, we're not the biggest horror film enjoyers. So there may be several points in this podcast where you're screaming at us to be like, it's called the Mongoose Chronicles, you fuckwits! And we're going to be like, I can't think of what movie could be like this. So we apologize for that. Not really. But quit screaming, you're scaring the neighbors.
Yeah, if you want to let us know how wrong we are on everything, like our clothing choices today, leave a comment down below or email us at tworaccoonspodcast@gmail.com. That's 2 C's, 2 O's, no spaces. And we will address them in a follow-up episode if we find out that, yeah, that was really the wrong movie. Like, oh, we were talking about Saw the entire time. We actually meant to, the actual title was Care Bears movie.
Hello Kitty's Island Adventure 2.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was very much Saw-like, but the second one, they strayed away from that. Yeah. Yeah, so like you said, we don't really watch a whole ton of horror movies. I never feel like I have to go see a horror film. But one that I was actually really looking forward to was the Until Dawn film. Until I saw the trailer. Have you played Until Dawn?
No, I have not. I was thinking the game I had played that's a horror movie, or not a horror movie. A horror game is Dead by Daylight.
Yeah. That has a ton of different IPs in it, right? It's that one? Or am I thinking of something else? Okay.
Yep, you're thinking of the right one.
All right. So Until Dawn is a PlayStation exclusive, or at least it was. I don't know if it still is. I have no idea. But it's very cinematic in its gameplay, in its look, and its feel. The entire cast, I think there are 8 people you can play as throughout the story, and they're all like big name actors, like Rami Malek, Hayden Panettiere, Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in it, and Peter Stormare as well as the psychologist or therapist that you go to every now and then in between story segments. Really great, like player choice is a big thing in those games, and it feels like you're playing a movie. Very great, multiple endings, great story, and it wasn't. The first part is a little bit predictable because it's set up like a stereotypical slasher. These 8 teens are up in the mountains, having a get together, and there's this mysterious figure following them. It does take a turn halfway through, maybe a little past halfway through, when it's revealed that the quote-unquote killer is Rami Malek himself, trying to scare his friends as revenge for the previous year when they played a prank on his twin sisters and they died because of it. But then right after that reveal, there is still some pretty creepy stuff going on. People are getting kidnapped, and it turns into a Wendigo game. So that was pretty neat because you can find clues about the story here and there, pick up collectibles and everything. Great game. The film, however, made it seem like a Groundhog Day film. So, like, they keep having to relive the same night and do different things to try and make it till dawn, which is the Until Dawn whole thing. And that, I don't know, I'm really conflicted because on one hand, if you make it too similar to the game, what's the point of watching the movie, or playing the game if the other exists? But on the other, you change it up too much, what's the point in calling it the same thing? Like, I think the only connective tissue is some of the imagery of, like, Josh, I think is Rami Malek's character's name. His, like, killer outfit is like a creepy clown thing. I think that was in the trailer, and then Peter Stormare is also in the film. But besides those, like, what's really connecting it to the original game? So that was a bit weird, but, like, I don't know. Horror games are obviously a very different medium than horror films. Films, obviously, you have an average of 2-hour runtime. Actually, horror films are much shorter than 2 hours, usually.
Usually about 90 minutes.
Yeah. But games, like, you have to have a longer playtime for more investment, more immersion for that sense. I know I complained about the runtime for Alien Isolation in the last episode of the podcast. Until Dawn is like an 8 to 10 hour game. Let's say between 6 and 10 hours. That felt like a perfect runtime for that. So I don't really know where I was going. I think I wanted to talk about Until Dawn for a minute. In my notes, this bullet point only says Until Dawn, so I don't really know what I was trying to get at. But yeah, I guess maybe the differences between horror films and games, I guess. I don't know. But if you could, audience, take what I just said and analyze it a bit for yourself, come up with your own opinions on what I was trying to get at, that would be appreciated. Anything else
Indeed.
on your list? I think I maybe had one more point, but
Um, how do you feel about 3D horror films?
that's probably how I feel about most 3D films is just gimmicky.
Because
Like,
there's a horror film in 3D. We can't ever watch in 3D again unless we have 3D TV, I think. But it's called My Bloody Valentine.
oh, I've heard of this
It's
one.
yeah, it stars Jensen Ackles, who is Dean Winchester from Supernatural. I went and saw this movie with my mom.
Oh my god.
It came out in 2009. I was a freshman in high school.
Okay. I'm doing a fact check here. I was aware of My Bloody Valentine when you texted about doing it for the podcast. However, you said
Mm-hmm.
we could do Valentine's Day. Sorry, Jensen Ackles. And I'm like, I don't think I've heard of that.
Yes, that is also a horror movie. It does not star Jensen Ackles though.
Yeah.
I think that one came out in like what 2001 or 2000.
I don't know. There are so many different like holiday themed horror films.
Yeah.
Like I think one of the most iconic examples is Silent Night. I think it's Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where the guy's just like garbage day. Like, do you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not
I know
crazy.
what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. And then you have like Thanksgiving with like a turkey that goes around and kills people, I guess. Um, I think there's a
What's the one with the tire kills people like burn rubber or something?
I know the one about the car, like Christine, something like that. But a tire, I've never heard of it. I don't
Tire
know if
horror. Oh, it's just called Rubber. It's
Okay.
just called Rubber.
Yeah, like I get
Okay, can I read you the overview of the movie Rubber?
please.
A car tire comes to life with a power to make people explode and goes on a murderous rampage through the Californian desert.
Oh my god. We're
Also
getting
came out in
into
2010.
we're getting into Tammy and the T-Rex levels of absurd in this one.
God. It got a 66 on Rotten Tomatoes, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's a good score.
That is actually surprising.
Came out the same year as the final. The final only got a 14. Hey, man, I can't control what critics do or say.
Only the people who pay them can.
That is so true. If you'd like to pay us to review your content, send us a link at tworaccoonspodcast@gmail.com. That's 2 C's, 2 O's, no spaces. tworaccoonspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I mean, I've been avoiding talking about like horror comedies just because I think it's a different beast in and of itself.
It's a different genre in and of itself.
Yeah, like
Like Scary Movie.
yeah, like I don't even know if that's supposed to be scary.
I mean, they played on Comedy Central, so probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I think I misspoke earlier when I said Scream when you were trying to talk about that one
Oh, yeah.
movie. I meant to say Scary Movie, but yeah, I mean the biggest horror comedy that I can think of that's actually still horror is Return of the Living Dead. Um, Fantastic film. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just purchased and watched the Romero Living Dead trilogy for the first time. That was great. And then I also bought this one, which I kind of want to do an entire episode on those four films themselves later on. But yeah, I mean, Return was a great way to cap off the zombie movie marathon that I did. So
I'd like to propose something for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think from now until October of 2026, we should try to physically acquire as many bad horror movies as we can, and we should try to sit and go through them together and
I
see how far into a movie before one of us decides we have to tap out.
I started doing that. Like, I really wanted to do it with like movies in general, but I
Mhm.
was at the dollar store one day in October and I saw this movie called Cowboys versus Zombies, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks
For $1, you
horrible.
have to add it to your collection.
Like, this looks horrible. I need to buy it. I bought it instantly, and I forced some of my friends at the time to watch it with me. And I'm like, this is gonna be really bad, but it's gonna be really fun to watch it and pick it apart. Uh, I think I was the only one that really had a good time with it.
I would
Like,
love to do that. Do you know what? Oh my, okay. Patreon content idea. You guys get it for free right here. We should, as part of our we should have movie commentary of just us sitting. We'll use my couch, my living room. I've got a Blu-ray player and DVD player. It's PS4. It works perfectly fine. We
mhm.
could sit in my living room with a record and we can do movie commentary.
Yep, I have the camera, the audio set up, and all that. Sounds
I
good.
have all the Studio Ghibli films.
Nice.
I want someone has to watch them and enjoy them with me. My fiance can only do it so many times. She only loves me so much. There's only so many times she can sit through Kiki's Flying Delivery Service and not think of me as the worst person she's ever met.
Yeah, like the entire film, obviously low budget, but not
Mm-hmm.
a great low budget. Like, there was effort there, but the script was not good. The audio was absolutely abysmal. Like, you couldn't hear what was going on. Like, and the funniest thing, I don't know if I want to spoil it for you or not, but actually I will, because I don't know if we'll actually watch it. The film is a post-apocalyptic film, but you don't know
Mm-hmm.
that at all until the last like 5 minutes when you're like, hey, is that a basketball hoop in this Wild West town? What the hell is that? Like,
Huh. They didn't lead with that?
it was so bad, but it was amazing. I don't know, maybe they did in some like audio bits you couldn't hear. And like the main character's arc, like there's this really drunk guy that's like the antagonist, and he gets a lot of people killed because he's a jerk, I guess. And the main character's like, oh, like I I can't kill him because that would be bad. And then at the very end, the threat is gone, and then he shoots him in the head anyways. Like, I kept him alive for some other reasons, but that one was just for me. And it's like, what
Oh,
the fuck is this? Like, oftentimes I'll say the script needs another pass or two. The script needs to be redone entirely.
we can throw this one away.
Yeah. Probably the best dollar I've ever spent. But with that, is there anything else you had on your list to get to? Because I'm about analyzed out.
I think I'm about good. That's all my talking points plus a couple of others. Um, yeah, I think this was actually one of our better, more enthusiastic episodes. I feel really good about. We should do more breakdown videos.
I'm glad you think that. I felt my analysis was all over the place, as it usually is, to be fair.
I think it's because you have such like a knowledgeable opinion of films and I don't. I think it makes for a really good contrivance of you being like, well, here is the bona fide facts of how a movie works. And I'm just like, listen here, Spider-Man.
Right. Like, I do that. I try to get analytical, and then I completely butcher it and like lose my thoughts halfway through, and I'm like trying to find the right words for it and end up just like being like, uh analyze. I do have one more
We
point
have
here.
technology. Go for it.
Right. I have one more point here. I'll read it verbatim from my notes just to not take time. Tension, comma, horror is mostly added by audience anticipation. Similar to how you never want to show the audience the monster, the unknown is always scarier. Just want to put that out there in case anyone felt like we were missing something.
You know what? That's very good, because somebody was going to come for us.
Yeah.
With malice.
And a baseball bat in their really nice car.
That's why I don't go to high school reunions. There are some people who will hit me.
God, those high school reunions never sound appealing. Like, if I haven't talked to you in the 15 years since we graduated high school, what makes you think I want to
I'm not going to start now.
Right.
Like, we're friends on Facebook. I see that you have 2 kids and a failing marriage. I think I'm good from here. Thank you.
Yeah, Robert. Shout out to all the Roberts out there listening to us. I picked a name at random, and I'm sorry for your marriage status. But with that, thank you for joining us on this different analytical
breakdown diatribe.
Yeah, this different structured episode. I've been Some Guy with a Hat. Thank you, as always, for listening and putting up with us.
And I have been Some Guy with a Microphone. It has been a pleasure to be here today. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to follow. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe if you feel like it. Send us an email. Get in touch with us. I will start streaming relatively soon, and hopefully I can start streaming with my fellow host here. We can do some good stuff together and start releasing some of that content as well, just to kind of vary things up a little bit.
Yep. If you're up for it, I know we have a potential plan of what to do next, and I'm hoping we might play through a bit of them before we get to the episode itself, just to get a refresher. It might be fun to record those sessions and post them as bonus content. Not necessarily streaming yet, just to get our foot in the door of making video content might be fun.
I've made quite a bit of video content, mostly gaming content. I know you were dabbling quite recently into getting into it. So finally, we'll have an area of expertise where I have a little more expertise than you do, which will be nice for me.
I'm trying to come up with like more area of expertise, like owning a house. But whatever. All right.
I've been burned. I'm a landowner.
Yeah, that I'm warning you now. That joke's getting cut. 100%.
that. You know what? Just put in that I'm a landowner bit just randomly somewhere in an episode. Just in a future episode, just like cut it in. Just be like, we have like dead air, and it's just like or make it one of our sponsors. Today's podcast is brought to you by I own land. Peasants. All right. With that, it's been an hour. We're gonna get out of here. You don't know this, but we're actually right now in a secret government base, trying to find the alien from Aliens, and I'm pretty sure they're on to us. So I'm gonna go left, you go right, and we'll meet you back here same time next week on the Two Raccoons in a Trench Coat podcast. Thank you, and have a spooky evening.
Wait, was I supposed to go left or right? Damn it.